Hi guys, so this is video 21 of Duke and Prince, and today it's going to be about Duke and starting his ridden work. Now in this photo you can see I'm bareback. I've got a rope halter under the bridle without a noseband, and I've got a black lead rope attached to the underneath of the halter. And this is a lovely picture because I'm smiling and the sun shines out, and it's the first time I've sat on my pony in the arena. So this little clip, some of you may recognise. I've put it back in to talk over a few different things. So this is in the video Mountain Block Anxiety. And as you will know, it's taken me quite some time to be able to get Duke to be confident about standing at the block and allowing me to get on. So I've used the stick to step his quarters over. Smudgy, my Cocker Spaniel, is always in these videos. She's always around with us. She's good friends with Duke. They get on really well. But I'm going to encourage her to jump up and down on the block because it's useful for him. It's distractions. And what I think is quite useful is watching her body language. She jumped up happily because I asked her to, but then she was unsettled because he was. So she's jumped back down a little bit unsure. Keep watching her language, really interesting. Now you can see Duke is just a little bit unsure. He's a bit high in his head carriage. Obviously here he's having a nice scratch. But I'm just going to take my time in teaching him to really kind of stand and relax, flexing him, getting him to settle before I start asking any more. Now, I'm bareback for a few reasons. I always start them off like this because it's more comfortable for me than trying to lay over and move your leg around their body, touch them all over with the saddle, and I think it's probably more comfortable for them as well. Getting used to you, as long as you're thoughtful with your seat bones to start with, getting used to a softer bottom rather than a new hard or a different feeling with a saddle and a rider and weight. I just think it's easier for me to slide on and off. And also I like to know how they feel. I get a better understanding of their balance, where they're stronger and weaker, being bareback too. So the rope halter underneath is because I do a huge amount of groundwork. I've trained Duke off the halter for long lining, for hacking out in hand and again on the long lines. So the bridle is on to encourage him now to flex. Again, he's done all this in hand first. So I'm now just starting to soften him to the left and the right. I don't get on until I know that I've got that relaxation and I can flex them and make sure they're supple both ways. That gives me an indicator of where his mindset is. Now look at Smudge. She's laid down, she's relaxed. He's relaxed, so she's now feeling quite confident that she can be in his bubble happily too. Now, I probably kept the rope halter on under the bridle with a lead rope attached underneath for quite some time. It gave me confidence. He stops beautifully off of it. I can teach him to come back from the rope halter and a very light contact with once I'm on with my breathing, my seat. Obviously he stops off the whistle, but I can start encouraging contact without it being too tight. Now, I've done a lot of getting on and off in different places, different mountain blocks, people legging me up, jumping on and off both sides. We've also done, and I haven't got this sadly in video because my friend was helping me, but I did a lot of jumping on and off in the field. The other thing I did a lot of was jumping off while still moving. And I think that's really important because, God forbid, we have a fall and you jump off and land next to them. They panic and they kick out or they launch. So actually getting Duke used to me jumping off from both sides, moving, just safely and quietly, nothing, fast, but just gives him the confidence that actually it's okay, it's normal. And I would have this pattern of a little bit of groundwork, stopping him at the block, getting him to flex left and right, laying over, sitting on, flexing left and right, then walking around the yard, checking I can stop, start, turn, bend before I'd go out hacking. And I will do that every single time I get on. So this next clip I am already on. I think he's got a fly, so his legs are in all directions, having a scratch. But I thought this would be really useful to see how wobbly Duke is. Now, when they're young, they don't have core stability. They don't have size and the strength, the diagonal pairing that they do when they get older. But look at my top. You can really see, and I've let myself kind of wobble in the direction that he's taking me. So we knew that he needed a little bit of help in the pelvis to straighten him up. And I think with any young horse, as you start to ask them to work, it's really good to have a team of support in, working making sure that they're level, strengthening, softening muscles as you start to ask more of them. But this is a great video, and also it's really useful for me to see what he's doing to me, and as a biomechanics coach, how I can best support him. Now, this little clip's really interesting. Duke's got more confident. This is quite a few weeks down the line, and I've done my in-hand, done my getting on, my circles, but I'm asking for halt, and he's just getting a little bit confident, and he doesn't want to. So I'm going to give him a bit of a half halt off that lead rope, which is attached to the halter, and say, excuse me, I've asked you to halt and you're ignoring me. Now, I've gone through this confidence streak in hand, then again on the long lines, so now it's going to happen ridden. Now, he's quite a polite pony. He's never, ever put a foot wrong. But he just every now and again gets a bit confident and he wants to get on with the job. But what he's got to learn is that he halts, he stands, he waits. Now, you want to make sure the environment's right. You're not going to do that on a windy day. You're not going to put him in an environment he's not confident with. But this is generally cheeky. So I'm going to ask off the halter with my breathing, my whistle. Then I'm going to start flexing and bending him. And I won't go out hacking until I feel that I've got those P's and Q's. I've got him back in the room listening to me. And then I'll take him out. And that may only be 5 minutes. Up the road, round the block, across the farm, and then back again. So I just thought this was useful to put in, and it explains a little bit more about why I use the halter and why it's so important for the groundwork, and understanding your pony's pattern. Every day is a school day. You know, they can be different any day, and it's just nice to know what you've got, how to deal with it. And here we've got a nice halt. Good boy. Here we're hacking, and somebody's put a squiggly line on the floor. That wasn't there the day before. Now, all the work that I do with Duke, I've built up to. So he's gone down this road in hand several times. He's gone down this road on the long lines. So now we're on board. So what's lovely is you can see his little ears. He's getting a bit tired. He's getting a little bit low, but he's accepting it. And again, he's one that needs time to stop and have a look. So here I'm going to ask him to halt. He's a little bit kind of tight, and that's why he's walked off. So I'm going to ask him to lower and then flex left and right. And you can see every now and again I'll put the rope halter, then I might feel on the rein. Yeah. So again, guys, every horse is different. You're not going to want to halt a horse and push the boundaries. Some are sharper than others. You don't want to encourage them to stand up and be difficult. But knowing Duke now and the groundwork that I've done, I know what I can and can't ask, but this is really important. And again, he's starting to relax, and that's good. And then walk on. Don't push your luck. And I've got my high vis on because I think I've been out hacking and I've done 5 minutes in the arena. Here's another little clip. You've got Smudgy running in and out of the hedge, which I think is really useful. Again, Smudge has been everywhere with us. So all the groundwork, the long lining, she was jumping in and out of the hedge, flushing birds for me, and desensitising him, which is great. Here he's just having a little look. And again, I've got the halter on the left, the rope, off the halter. And I'm going to say, no, that's not happening. You can stop and you can look, but you're not going to turn around. And he kind of goes, not sure. Okay, relaxes, give him that time, and then we can walk on again. And we've got little Alice in the video here. Alice, I taught to ride on Billy Whiz. So I've spent many a time walking, trotting, running, holding her, leading Bill, and now she rides him beautifully, which is really lovely. So she's very kindly giggling at me, returning the favour, and getting her own back as I wobble around and need help. But this is nice. So this is our farm track. So I know the area well, so does Duke. And this is a great place to have our first little trot. Smudgy again coming bounding up. But this is really nice because it shows where Duke was in his training at the time. And obviously this is back in the summer. But you can see as I ask for trot, everything goes into the left shoulder. You know, he's diagonally longer one side. Those of you that know my teaching will understand what I mean. But he needs to be straightened up and strengthened up. But you can see how I'm having to really think about sitting right, and he's pushing off more with one diagonal than the other. It's just baby. It's like us being left-handed or right-handed. Because we ride our horses, we want to make them as even as possible. We get away with riding with our right or left hand, but they won't with weight on their back. Here again, hacking up the road, much more fluid, really pleased with this. And it's just nice to have somebody on the ground. We didn't really need anyone to lead him because I'd done enough groundwork that he was confident with that. And again, we ended up with somebody on the bike and then hacking out with another horse. So here, this is a great video clip. I've put this in because another stripy top. I don't know why I do this to myself. But you can see I'm bending and flexing him, and I'm trying to stay quite neutral in my seat and my body, trying not to let my torso collapse one way or the other. But as I walk off, he really does drop me sometimes, and you can see the creasing on my clothing. You know, I've really kind of like, I'm wobbling there. And this is baby. This is also, he's got to build up his strength and learn to push through equally. And as a biomechanics coach, I can really help him. I can look back on these videos and go, right, obviously I can feel it, but it's really useful to look back on and see where I'm losing stability and stuffing. And then I can support him better moving forward, and hopefully that will also strengthen him. So this is in slow motion. And again, it's really useful when you haven't got a saddle on. You can feel a lot more, but actually that's not too bad. I think I asked for a halt and walk on again, and it's like, way off we go. There you go, good old wobble there, and you can see the creasing in my clothing. I'm really off to one side. And, you know, it's quite normal for horses to have what I call a soapy roof. One side, both sides, different sides. When you've got a really good straight level horse that's well stuffed and you've got an even surface to sit on, it's wonderful. But, you know, that takes some time. And you can see in that clip there, much more level, and he's much more relaxed. Here's a different clip. So this was quite useful because he was just a little bit sharper this day. And what's always interesting when you're first sort of starting off your ridden work, you never know when they have a moment what's going to happen. You've got a rough idea from the groundwork, but you're still not sure. And if you have a wobble around, what they're going to do. Because I've done a lot of moving around and jumping on and off from different sides and hanging over here and there, he is quite used to it. So I'm hoping that my time and patience will pay off. But he's had a little moment, so I'm going to start doing a few turns. I'm really thinking about where I'm putting my position, my body, to help support him into that flexion, into that turn, to keep him as level and as straight as I can. But with the next little bit here, he has another moment, and this is where it's been really useful for me to have the rope attached to the halter. So I can give that a little bit of a tug and say, no, come on, listen to me. What I don't want to do is pull on his mouth, him panic about something, lean on the bit and run, or hurt him for that matter. So it's really useful, and it's a good confidence boost for me too. So here we come round. I don't know if it's a pheasant in the bank or just a noise, who knows, but you can see he really goes, whoa. I whistle, breathe out, give him a little stroke, wait for him to just come down. And again, because I haven't pulled him in the mouth, there's no need for him to take that bit and run. It was a half halt on that halter, and then he's relaxed. Once I feel like he's just let me in a little bit and he's just come back down onto my seat, then I'll have a little flexion, maybe one way, maybe both ways, and then move out that situation. Now obviously each horse is different. You're not going to halt a horse in an environment that's really unhappy with, and it starts standing up or being difficult. Each horse you just have to assess and deal with and know what's best for it. But here, actually giving him time to just stop and think works for him. And he was walked off quite sweetly, but again into that left side. So you can tell on the ground, on the long lines, and then on ridden, what's going to be my hard canter lead. So you can guess which video is coming next. So he does settle, he moves over, I can move my weight across to help him much better. So here we've moved on to going to a friend's. So Wendy's a very good friend of mine, very kindly lets me use her arena so we can school together. Duke's been here a few times. He's done all of the in-hand, he's done the long lining. Now we're at that stage where I can jump on. So this is the first time I've probably had somebody lead me for a while. I think when we first started sitting on, we did. But because it's a new environment, we've got small fencing, there's horses out, I'm just being thoughtful by having somebody there. Again, the lunge line's off the rope halter, so I'm going to have a little feel to the right and to the left, just see if I can get him to soften and relax. And I've done all my groundwork, I've done my long lining, so I know that he's ready and we're in the position to do a few minutes. But really pleased about this. And again, with the groundwork, he understands the leg aid from what would have been the stick and voice. So what is interesting is he's a little sticky. So when you put them in new environments, they go backwards. You know, they can get a little bit kind of, oh, I'm not sure about this, and not be quite so fluid in the transition. So I'm going to do a lot of walk halts. See if I can get him off my leg a little bit more. Make sure that I've got my stop. And good boy. So I'm really pleased with this because he is settling. You can see his little ears are sideways, but he's working with me. And again here, the other rein. Lizzie's a very good friend of mine in Hertfordshire that's come up and to stay for a little while to help me, which is lovely. And she spent quite a bit of time with Duke too, so he knows her. But nice little halt, little flex left and right again. And we probably did a few walk halts each rein and then stopped and left it there and then build on it. But for me, it's just important I really can soften him left to right, because he would be one of these that would be quite high, quite tight in the neck. And I think those of you that knew Cedric, I absolutely adored Cedric. He was a beautiful little cob. Sadly, I lost him last year, but he could be quite tense and tight, and I'm just very thoughtful to not have that with Duke. You can see here I've moved my legs around and he's stopped. So normally I can move my legs around, he wouldn't worry. So again, just going to go back to the routine of playing around. This is a little further down the line, and then I've gone through my pattern. He's quite happy. Now I can get on and walk around on my own, which is really exciting. And this is a nice little clip because you've got the horses in the field. Because he's done his groundwork and his long lining, he's kind of like, okay, I know I've got to keep going, but I'd really like to have a conversation with them. But I'm really pleased about that. You know, he's not really a spooky pony. But then again, I've done the groundwork and the agility and hopefully given him the confidence to push through all this. And I think here I try and have my first trot, and going out, we're hacking, trotting beautifully, but in a new environment like this, it just took a bit of time, and it's very wobbly, but I was so chuffed that I finally got trot. And again, we'll just keep building on it. But I think now, moving on to the saddle. So next video, guys, will be me teaching Duke how to canter and get the correct strike off. Many of our young horses can canter one way, so this will be a really useful video for you guys to see, and lots of tips and ideas. I've put this picture in because I just think it's absolutely wonderful. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that bell. Remember, it's all free. We'll let you know when the next videos come in. And if you could like and share, that would be lovely. The whole point of this is to share my journey and hopefully help others. So please get liking and sharing. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Video 22. Thanks very much, guys.